We've got two 240 wheels in the front. The dimensions are quite different because they use a wider rim and they have 5 openings versus this, which looks a lot more like the old 122 wheels. That's them over there. Different bolt patterns, of course. So I'm about to undertake the hood and the engine bay. Oh boy, yeah, that's gonna be quite a project. I'm so glad there's an air filter in there because that helps preserve some of the internals. Really simple, beautiful latching sound on these mechanisms. Wow, dude. Anyway, that kind of stuff really matters. That little fit and finish, because you do use it a lot. Dude, look at all the sand that just came out from the door sills as I was brushing. But I have removed the bottom mats. The rears, that's not bad. One spot of rust. Look at that, a little bit of surface rust. I think this plate is galvanized here. So if I remove it, that's probably going to be our biggest area for potential rust, because the windshield that has the hole in the corner will, of course, run down, make its way here. But that's another thing for another time. Let's just get this thing washed. This is going to make quite a mess. But before I open up the engine, degreaser, hose, all set. These are all the accoutrements from the interior pieces. Never before have I seen this, and I guess it makes sense that this car puts the penny in pepperoni, because these things were warped from being in the sun. These are really funny to me. They were just on the dashboard and on the back, right on the shelf. This is probably my favorite bit. It's a handwritten little one-page report on bald eagles. The very last sentence: how do you keep endangered species from becoming extinct? Don't kill them. Very succinct. Starting at my feet, number 1, going clockwise 2, 3, 4, 5 to the loopy-loops in the hose. Which of these tires do you think still holds air? If you answered none of them, you're correct. One of nature's most tenacious objects is a wet leaf. These things are just, they grab onto everything and they just stick, and they're like, no, I'm not letting go. They let go. It's time to get them out of here, out of my driveway. I just use soap to get a little bit of shine back out. I told myself no cosmetics, but I just wanted to scrub up a little bit of the, it actually looks awful, forget it. It's better than what it was, but you know what, never mind. Well, it's day 3, 1 day transporting, 1 day cleaning. Now we begin the engine work, all the mechanical stuff. I want to make sure that this thing runs and runs okay before I start investing into other things, because worst case scenario, I'm flying home. Best case, we're driving. Let's get to it. First time taking this filter off, let's see if it's been doing its job. Oh, well, carburetors do not look terrible in there. There's still free movement of the piston. They seem to go up and down. This one's a little sticky, but I feel like it's pushing up against oil from the chamber. That's good, actually, very good. This one's a little crunchy, actually. I'm gonna pull these carbies off and give them a good once-over, a cleaning. It looks like these guys just go right to the exhaust. And that's not supposed to be fun. A couple of bolts are missing on the back of the manifold, no big deal, but we're gonna get her started any moment now. Clearly my degreaser worked. There's your 30-year-old oil. There is a lot of crud in this cooling system. Either rust or calcium or both, just getting together for a party. So I'm gonna take the water pump out, give it a proper flush all the way through. Every orifice, every pore. The radiator's got a broken mount. It does hold pressure. It's a Waller brand, but it says it's made in West Germany. I wonder if that tells you how old it is. I don't know at what point they stopped branding things West Germany, East Germany. But 82 degrees, and it's got Volvo stamped on the side, so it probably works just fine. A lot of these older things are so well made. But we've got a new one. Another bit of good news, I haven't put any oil in the cylinders yet, but actually as I'm removing the fan, I noticed that the crank does easily wiggle. So that is actually a bit of good news for me that it's not locked up. But like I said, unwavering optimism, and I just gotta stay focused and it'll get done. I've had issues with the alternator bolts breaking into the block on a lot of the red block engines, from the B18 all the way up to the B230 FTs and the Fs and the Volvo 240. For the 164, however, it seems to be cast right into the block itself with one big 3/4 head bolt. So it looks like I'm not gonna have any issues with that. I'm not really sure how to clean this thing without compromising the internals, but I am gonna go get it tested, or maybe replaced if the price is right, because yikes. Okay, Marvel Mixture oil in each cylinder. I removed the large PH8A Fram oil filter, and I'm gonna replace it with a very cheap, sort of generic oil filter, but this is going to be my first one. Wow, it's actually nicely packaged for us. This will be the first oil filter in the series of 2, because I'm gonna get this engine started, and I'm gonna check the oil to see how dirty it is, add some flush to it so we can get that all that garbage out. I will say everything on this engine has been very easy to remove. I need to loosen that water jacket in the rear so we can flush the block. Time now to flush the cooling system, the engine block, the heater, hoses, all that good stuff, and we'll just see how much garbage comes out. When I started turning the engine, it was really good for the first few centimeters, and then it got really rough. And I was worried, I was scared that it was the cylinder scraping up against the cylinder wall, so I added more Marvel Mystery Oil. There's 2 ounces in each cylinder approximately. That should be enough to coat it, get down into the rings, do its job. Then I removed the water pump pulley, so now I can feel this is the crunchiness. This thing inside, no doubt, is gonna be caked or destroyed or seized or anything. I can twist it, but I don't wanna force any crud anywhere else, so let's go ahead and remove that now. The engine does turn nice and free all the way. That's wonderful news. It's the bearing that's seized up, and the internals of the pump, in terms of corrosion, they look okay. Free spinning power steering pump. Yay! And the crank. Nice. That's what I like to hear. Yay! Round 2 of shopping. Yep. Let's, wish me luck. Let's hope we can get this started. Got some rust reformer, and it was on sale. How could you not? Here's a partially pulled apart Stromberg 175 CD2. There's a choke only on one. That's the way it seems. The Stromberg 175s seem to have a bad reputation. They get bad press for being complicated compared to the SUs, and I'm here to defend the Stromies because I think they're quite easy once you understand sort of the fundamentals of how they work. Now, if you were to go, I guess, letter by letter, yeah, the SUs require less work overall, but I think the Stromberg, if everything's working and everything's fine and everything's original, you don't tinker with it or modify things, then it's fine. It's engineered to be good, and that's what it is so far. Here's the needle valve. It looks just like the SU. Make sure you have a little bit of wiggle in there. It's spring-loaded. That's good. Toward the front. There's the diaphragm. This diaphragm needs to be probably replaced, but everything looks really good in here with one exception, and that's the temperature compensator. Temperature compensator has a bimetal strip which moves this little needle as the strip, the top layer shrinks at a different temperature rate than the bottom, so it kind of bends that strip and it allows this to move up. This small nut right here is an adjuster. You don't mess with that at all, because you could get it out of adjustment, and it's very difficult, but you won't do a terrible amount of damage. You won't do a terrible amount of damage if you adjust it incorrectly, but the information on that was really never made known to the public. It was kind of a secret from Stromberg. That's my understanding of it, and people just sort of go by, what feels right. So the fact is, that's one way to fine-tune your air-fuel mixture, or at least affect it. The other way to fine-tune it is this little guy here. I forget what it's called, but it allows air to pass through an opening. The throttle, while the linkage is a little loose here, it's got some play in it. I don't know why, but I'm gonna probably take it off and find out. The throttle plate itself feels really good. The solid movement makes me think that there's no excessive wear or play in there. There's also an O-ring, I believe, inside of the end of the throttle shaft, which does seal the air, even if you have a little bit of a worn out shaft. And this is the spring that rebounds the damper. This is the top cover. The Phillips screws on the top were power drive, I think they're called, which means a regular Phillips doesn't fit nicely. Wow, that's actually a really good one. And all of them start to look like this. So I've gone ahead and replaced those screws. Funny thing is, they're a 10-32 screw, and it looks like an M5 is almost identical. It's a slightly larger diameter, but the thread pitch is almost the same, if not exact. This is a little thing for the bottom of the chamber, the float chamber, the fuel bowl. And this guy here, some of them aren't threaded, but there's so many variants of these over the years, different cars, the Rovers, the Jags, the Triumphs. This is the float itself, the gasket for the surround. It's really simple, it just pops into place right there. At the bottom are those two, and then there's our jet tube. The jet tube's gonna go all the way to that spot. There is an adjustment to be made. I have the tool for it, which does adjust the relative position of the needle to the seat. The same way that you would adjust the jet tubes on an SU, you will do that on here. You fine tune it through the very top with like a long Allen wrench type tool. Similar dash pots, they're going to use an oil. Out of the front carburetor here came a purplish reddish oil, like an ATF. So that's cool, and SAE 30 is what they should take. I was actually surprised when I pulled these apart that there was not a lot of debris at the bottom. Looks like a little bit of surface rust, but there was no varnish or gunk or anything. When the previous owner told me over the phone, oh, you could probably put gas in this car and it'll start right up. A bit of an exaggeration for all the dried out rubber and the seized water pump, but as far as the carburetor goes, this thing only needed a cleaning, and all the rest of the seals look mad decent, bro. So I'm gonna continue cleaning it. This is the fuel line here. This is the machined portion for the choke. There is no choke on this front carby. Interesting. There's our needle valve. That little ball is what determines the level inside based on the adjustment of our floats. If the float says, okay, we're full of gas, it's going to shut the ball, which then shuts off the supply of fuel coming in from there. If you have an aftermarket fuel pump, like electric ones, those tend to, especially the cheap ones, they can pump high, or they can be quite overwhelming for the needle seat, and you will flood your carby no matter what. So the choke here basically is this pattern, one air passage and then the other. I think that's the way it goes, and I will have to absolutely pull that apart to ensure it's adjusted correctly. Whatever this thing is, no idea. That's a new one, but the choke cable clamps up here. It's actually nice that it's a clamp, and then attaches the wire right there, and then this will bump up the fast idle, and you got your regular idle speed and then the fast idle screw if you need a little bit more idle as the engine's warming up. Okay, so there's that. Because there's only one choke, I wonder if these two carbs in the air passages in the intake are not split like they are in the 4-cylinder. I wonder if the 3 rear and the front 3 cylinders all share the same in the vacuum tube in their routing. We'll have to find out. And then, of course, there's the other set of butterflies on the manifold. I need to discover why that is. Same kind of play as I mentioned earlier, right here. The temperature compensator does not look as chewed up, but you can get the covers. If you have to replace the entire thing, it's like $150 for, I think, just one. But you can get the covers for $10 a piece. So I've ordered the 2 covers. They're coming. And another great view of how those screw heads have been stripped out. Yikes. Oh, one other nice thing to note is these little tags that come on here, they actually do say Volvo on them. They've got the part number. It's floating around here somewhere. Get it? Float. All right. Now that the two Stromies are ready to put back in the car, I do want to take care of some other maintenance around, starting with the water pump since this pipe needs to go under. There's not a lot available for the B30 since they're not as popular. To remove those heater hoses, and then the heater valve that goes into the dashboard underneath the dash. Goodness, look how much this door opens. It's like 100 degrees. Something tells me this limiter might not be working. Well, these are supposed to open 80 degrees. Yep, that's 80 degrees. But that front door is definitely way overdoing it. Right there. Good access to the heater hoses, thankfully right at the backside of the HVAC center. Top heater hose is out. Look at this. Oh boy, I hope the rest of the stuff is okay. A proper flush will help out though. Rust dust. Finally got it to spit up all of its gunk. This stuff was blocking up this hole right there. Let's keep flushing until it comes out clear and pretty. This is 3/8 hose going into the block to back flush. It's gonna come out the top of the head. Ugh, still really dirty. It's a very faint sound, but if you can hear that, I'm hoping to make that same exact sound tonight. Whew, exhausting. The sun is setting, and it's still coming out filthy. Never seen an engine this dirty. It's been, I don't know, 3 hours. Okay, Nick's here.
Hi, everybody.
And it's nice to have some help. I never thought about this, but let's confirm with the cap off that we actually have a timing gear. So I'm just gonna rotate it by hand. You're gonna keep an eye on those cam followers.
Whoa. Well, there's compression at least. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoop. The 3 and 4's out, and the last one's got a spark plug, which is why it was hissing.
So, the last flush you just did, it finally cleared out.
It looks fine.
Somewhat better,
Let's
right?
see. I think I went through 300 gallons of water trying to get this thing flushed out, man. All right, we're about T-10 for first starts here. I'm gonna go over everything and see what's left. It's very easy to overfill because they take such a small amount, but I'm never quite sure. It's like 1/3 of a cap full. All right, we've got gasoline there. We need to hook up, clear the line from the can. There we go.
Yeah, headlights.
We got headlights.
You got both headlights.
All right. Just gonna hit that starter, see if it works. Wow.
Oh.
She's smooth too. Okay, so we've got power, it's cranking. And I wish I had a light so I could check, like a test light so I could see that we're blinking on the coil, but we'll just presume that it's gonna work. And once we get gas in there, then we'll know. And then we're gonna watch it after that because it's gonna take a lot of cranking for it to get to the pump and get all the way up to the carbs, fill the bowls, make its way through the carbs into the engine. Or we could just jump right ahead to starter fluid. But I want to get some oil pressure. That light will go away.
Fuel leak. Oh, I heard it. I heard ignition. No, we have a gas leak though.
As soon as I turned the key off, I heard it.
Yeah.
Like it wanted to ignite. This is vastly inadequate.
Zip ties are?
The oil pressure light is off, so we have pressure. That's good. Oil pump's working. Ooh, she's quiet.
That was a good sound. Yes.
Got a lot of Marble Mystery Oil inside.
You put it in there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. cylinder 2's spark plug was loose.
You mean?
I don't know how much battery life we're gonna have.
Yeah.
That was thought of.
Let's get some air. Okay. Well, she started. Who've-hearted.
That's a big starter, bro. Look at that thing.
It's about the same as the 240.
No way, dude. That's way bigger.
It's much uglier, that's for sure. We got new cables. Yeah, you'll notice there's not much attached to the front of this car engine. But this is how we keep the coolant going. End of story.
Yeah, I was gonna put the hamster attached to it.
Well, it just needs one revolution every 30 minutes.
Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy! Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah! Yeah! That sounds great. That sounds so good. That sounds good. Oh, yes, that sounds good.
Oh, man. Never been so happy to breathe hydrocarbons in my life.
I know, it smells so good.
Yeah, dude. Wow. Good work, bud.
Yes. And it didn't have a knocky sound either.
No, she sounds fine.
She sounds really
I would
healthy.
have kept running it. I didn't have the choke on, but
Really
I
healthy.
really would like to keep running this, except we don't have a water pump connected. And well, the heck, let's start it. Let's start it again.
Do it again. Yeah,
It's not even warm yet.
do it again.
Not even warm. All right.
Bro, it started right up. It started right up. Ah,
That's great.
that's okay. No alternator. Dude, yes! Yes!
nice. So what have we done so far? We
You,
flushed this cooling system for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oil, wires, distributor wires, the new cap, the rotor's great underneath. The points are obviously working. The coil and the resistor are working. Cleaned up the carbs. Kind of didn't really rebuild them, just regasketed them. And haven't adjusted the needles or anything. So with the mixtures, might be rich, but yeah, I need to adjust the idle screws because it's not idling. There's no choke attached. Might be leaking gas, but that's okay. So what else?
hose clamps.
Oh, we put on one hose clamp out of the 7 that we need.
The major one, the one to the pump,
Yeah,
but not to the carb.
great. Well,
Yes. This is
good.
exciting.
This
It's
is really
good.
good. This is good to show my folks out there. So thank you for another video, tuning in, and I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight because I'm going to be so excited to get right back to this. The next step for me is to get it to run smoothly. I need this radiator rebuilt, so I might take it to the shop tomorrow. First thing in the morning and just see how long their turnaround time is. I got to get the tires off of the wheels so that I can paint the wheels. I need to get clamps so that all these leaks can stop on the gas leaks. I want to also make sure the water pump's not leaking. There's going to be 3 more flushes of coolant, mostly just water, before I add of the proper 50-50 mix. And I do have a flush, like a Prestone cooling system flush that should help get a lot of the extra gunk out. But yeah, this is a huge step forward. So let's not talk too much about future work. Let's just enjoy.
What we got now?
Let's enjoy this little celebration. Mm-hmm. Great. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's officially almost New Year's Eve. officially. It's not even midnight. It just feels late.
Yeah.
All right.
We got like an hour till New Year's Eve.
Well, let's have some more fun. Start the game.
Yeah, one more time. Put it into gear.